So as you all know that we have been in the corona situation for quite some time now, almost like a month now, but India has been hit hard like in the past couple of weeks. And so we wanted to discuss like how we are all working from home. So we wanted to discuss how we can work productively even when we are working remotely or from home. And as you might know, Rishabh has been working remotely for almost 7 years now. Calls, he works, he manages teams and does everything remote. So we wanted to check with him like how does he manage to do everything so efficiently, and what are the tools, what are the daily productivity hacks that he follows, which we can do too, and we can work productively while we are in the quarantine situation for the corona. So I would like Rishabh to take up and discuss. Like first of all, I'll ask him to introduce himself in case other people don't know him, and then take it forward from there.
So I think, first of all, I'd like to congratulate everyone who's here because they have taken the decision to work from home, or their bosses have taken that decision for them, and have agreed to do this, because then these are the people who are playing their part. And if you're not efficient or productive at this point of time, you'll get there slowly, you'll get used to it. But at least you've taken that first step, which means you're better off than anyone who's traveling to office in this situation. So yeah, I think I started my self-quarantine 7 years back. That's true. This was, of course, not the typical self-quarantine. I've been traveling around. I've been exploring places, which is obviously on hold now, and now it's a proper self-quarantine. But yes, there have been a lot of learnings. I've managed businesses. I've managed multiple businesses. I've worked with customers, which means that I also had a boss in these stages, because the client becomes your boss. So it's not that only, because as a boss, it's easy to say, okay, I'm going to work from home, I'm going to work remotely, and let other people manage what they're doing, because you don't need a lot of inputs from other people. You have to give inputs to other people. But even as someone who's answerable to my clients and customers, I've been able to sort of crack the code of how to be productive as well as work remotely. So I'll be happy to share what I've learned. And again, congratulations to all of you who've taken this initiative, either by yourself or behalf of the companies that you work with.
Okay, so Rishabh, you have been working in the self-quarantine mode, as we can say, for the last 7 years. What are the things that you like in this, and anything that you miss, or you think that in being in office would have been better for some situations?
Yeah, I think, we'll split this into two different situations. Of course, self-quarantine is a little more than just working remotely. Just working remotely is actually, I found it, actually, I think there is no way that you can be productive in an office now. It has changed my mind so much that I don't understand how people can be productive in an office environment. So I'm quite the opposite. But in that sense, I found that remote work can give you actually the right balance that you're looking for. Like a lot of people are talking about the work-life balance. You get that as a default when you are working remotely, because you can take short breaks, you can have some family time, you can calendar your family time and your work time throughout the day, rather than just saying, okay, I'm going to go back with all this stress and take it out of the family at home when I go back, which is the usual 9 to 5 model. So when you have a little bit of flexibility, you become more productive. This is what I've observed even with my team. You already know, Debbie, that I've had team in office, and then I've shifted transition to a team remotely. I found that my people were much more productive when they were the same people. It's not that I'm saying someone else was better than someone who was working with before, but the same people, you put them in two different situations, and you see how you can track the analytics on their tasks and output, and you can see the efficiency improve. But so just like the coronavirus, there is an initial stage where the growth is very slow when people transition to remote work, and before they hit the peak, they sort of give up. But you just have to go through that phase of learning. So there is a different kind of learning involved, which is what I think we are aiming to achieve from this Q&A session, is to get that knowledge, or sort of summarize that whatever in the past years I've got, and the right tools and the right access to the right ways of doing certain things, so that you don't have to have a long learning curve, because you already have to do some work and then you have to learn how to do it online because you've not been used to doing it online. So we're going to try to skip that curve and make it shorter for people. I think that should
Right.
be the goal of this event.
Right. So that is actually the question that I wanted to ask, which was my next question, because when like lot of managers, right? They would be even me. We would think that okay, if somebody is working from home, they're like just in their pajamas, chilling out, drinking coffee, and
I'm in
just
my
I
shorts
mean,
right now. So I have my shirt and my shorts. That's the first
yeah,
advantage of working from home, right?
right,
But it doesn't matter. Here's the thing: there are managers who like to see people in front of their eyes, and
right.
that translates to work being done.
Hmm.
So they're like, all right, we see people sitting here, and I was that kind of a person before as well, so I know how it feels. You see people sitting there, and that means that they are working, even
Yeah,
though no matter how much you say, I just want to see the tasks and I just want to see the reports, but there are managers who want to see people working in front of their eyes. So
hmm.
that's a mindset change which managers have to go. So there will be tips for managers as well as employees. So in terms of, this is the first step for manager, they'll have to change their mindset a little bit in terms of, just looking at people working does not mean that they're working, first of all. And a lot of people in office, when you look at them, they're not working, right?
Yeah,
So it
right,
doesn't mean that if they're sitting there, then they are working. And the opposite is also true. It doesn't mean that if you cannot see them, they're not working. That's not true,
right.
right? So that's
So
the first thing for managers. Please
yeah,
carry
so
on.
do
Yeah.
you have any like suggestions or any tips for people, like how do they own up to their work when they're working remotely, when nobody is watching you, right? From both the sides, like how can you tell the manager or convince the manager that they're being productive, and how can you tell the person who is like working, like what should they follow to showcase, or maybe whatever, communicate to the manager, because communication I feel is one of the most important aspects that goes
Right.
missing when you're working remotely. A lot of people don't know how to work with that. So how do you communicate it to your managers that you're working and you are like meeting your KPIs, etc., and how do the managers know that the productivity is there even when people are working from home?
Right. So see, it's basically going to be the same model, and every company follows a different model that you would follow in a physical setup. So some companies, for instance, have daily stand-up meetings in the morning, right? Where the manager would walk in and say, all right, 5 minutes, let's do a huddle, let's do a team huddle. What is everyone doing? That's one way of management, and there is no reason why you cannot have the same strategy online, right? So
Right.
it's a direct transition. Just the channel has changed. So that's one thing that I want to tell managers is, don't completely change all your processes, right? That's the first step, because when you completely change all your processes, people are not used to that. If you say,
Right.
from tomorrow you're going to work from home because we've got a message from the government that you're not supposed to go to office, you're going to work from home, and we'll have no stand-up meetings that we were doing in the morning. Rather, instead of that, you just send me a mail or put a message on Slack. That's where the problem happens, because in one day you're changing the daily habits and the process that people were used to. And then when you change that, no one really knows, okay, where should I go on Slack, which channel should I have to send a message, do I have to send a
Yeah.
WhatsApp, do I have to send a direct mail, or should I CC the team, should I not CC the team? Why waste energy in that when you can just say the daily stand-up meeting is now going to happen over Zoom, right?
Yeah.
So it's just one example, but everyone is trying to revolutionize the process of working online, but the same things could be translated, right, to, for example, even small things like after the weekend you go to office on a Monday morning and the boss asks you, how was your weekend? So
Yeah.
you could have a weekend catch up call every Monday morning. So it's like, you don't have to change the entire process for the
Right.
management. This is my first tip for the management. So if you were doing meetings every Wednesday, trying to understand what KPIs have been achieved over the week, do that. Continue that. Don't say that, okay, now I'm going to do everything online and Slack, and I'm going to forget about these meetings. But those
Right.
meetings, and there's a lot of bad rep that meetings have got. Like, everyone talks about how underproductive meetings are and meetings shouldn't be done. And then people say, if you are going to work online, you are going to be more productive, so get rid of meetings. But that's not necessarily true. It's just a lot of bad rep for meetings. Like, for example, a simple meeting like this is pretty good for everyone involved.
Yeah. Right. Agree.
So there's nothing wrong with continuing. So that's my first tip. If you have a protocol, if you have a protocol in place, keep that protocol. Try to bring that protocol online rather than rather than making massive changes to the protocol. Okay, so that's the important thing for managers.
Right.
There will be now. Let's go to the people who are working.
Hmm.
Let's go to the team. So there will be differences, of course. A lot of team members need that face-to-face communication because they've
Yeah.
been used to getting tips face-to-face, and they might initially need a little bit of hand-holding. The manager might have to video call them directly to just tell them, this is what's happening. This is a change. We are all in this together. They might need a little bit of that, but what they should start doing is, so rather than moving from there to something like Trello, for instance, where you have to manage all the cards and all the lists, I'm also giving tips and tools, by the way, advice to people. If you want to use Trello, go ahead. But don't make that transition immediately. Go from there to a Google Sheet, which is shared with the team, let's say. And then move from the Google Sheet, if you really want a Kanban system, then move to Trello. So make it step by step and
Right.
start making small steps to the transition. So it's the same perspective. But the perspective I'm putting across here is you don't have to make a complete flip from what you were doing before.
Right.
You want to transition slowly on both sides. So these are small tips of how to transition slowly as management and as the team.
Right. Right. So another thing that I see is this work from home. There is a lot of talk about being focused. Like, you lose focus and you're working, and then you think about a lot of things. There are so much distractions. Like you said, you get to spend time with family. Good. But there is a lot of distraction happening when you have, like, infants, and there are kids at home, and then neighbors coming in. Nowadays, people are not doing it. But yeah, but in general, like when you're working from home or working remotely, there's so many distractions. How do you keep that focus, or there are any activities that you can do to keep the focus?
Yeah. So I think luckily coronavirus situation helps a lot in keeping the focus in this current situation. But in general, the problem can be solved by a few things. So what you should do is, what I do personally is, I have on my calendar every day, I have 15 minutes slots of distraction, and that's working really well for me. So what
Okay.
I do is, I you know that you will be distracted. So if you say, I'm not going to be distracted now, it's
That's
not
not
going to
gonna
work.
happen. Yeah.
It's the same thing in an office. You know that you will eventually take that smoke break if you're a smoker, or if you have friends who are smokers. You can only delay it, but you will still take that smoke break,
Yeah.
or you will still take that coffee break. So why not put it on the calendar that at 12:15, 3:15, and 5 o'clock, I'm going to have 15-minute breaks, right?
Right.
And these 15-minute breaks, you open the door, you let the kids come in, play around with them, jump around, do whatever you want. In fact, it's going to increase your productivity when you jump around in those 15 minutes and
Right.
come back to work with your brain getting more oxygen, right? So do that. Put that on the calendar so that when you know that it's now 1 p.m. and I've just finished lunch, until 3 p.m. I just have to do a 2-hour deep work session, and then 3 to 3:15 I have this break. So what I said there is the deep work session, which is the second answer. So you have to schedule sort of deep work sessions on your calendar. And what this means is that in these work sessions, you can so right now we have the Zoom call and my phone is on flight mode, right? So I put my phone on flight mode because I don't want to have this distraction during the call. So
Right.
treat it the same way. When you know that, okay, in the next 1 hour, my boss has given me this job, I'm going to finish this task. Keep your phone on the flight mode. Close the door. Tell your family this is my time till 3 p.m. I'm going to be working on something. The best hack for the family is to tell them that you're going to be on a conference call
Yeah.
till 3 p.m. That's the best hack, because then they don't want to interrupt your conference call, because
Right.
they're also shy of walking around on the camera, right? So make it a problem for them, and then they're going to participate in your problem. So once you do that, you have this time just for focused work. You have no distractions. You act. So there is an app called Focus, which I use on Chrome.
Okay.
And what it does is, you can put certain websites on the app, like Facebook or Twitter and all of that. And for that duration, it's going to block those websites. So then you know that in this time, I'm only going to work on this sheet. I'm only going to work on this project. I'm only going to work on this, on this task. You have your phone is on flight mode, your social media is blocked, your family thinks you're on a call, and do this 2 to 3 times a day, right? So if you do this, if you can do this 3 times a day on 2 hour sessions, you have 6 hours of high productivity work. You are doing much better than a regular office going employee. You're doing much better than an office going employee, because even if you calculate 9 hours of working, there's hardly 4 to 4.5 hours of actual work which happens in
Right.
an office, right? And if you go, let's say if you go on a short coffee break, it takes around 20 minutes for the brain to come back to a task once you're back from the coffee break. So 20 minutes
Right.
of coffee plus 20 minutes of the brain trying to come back, that's 40 minutes gone. You do that 3 times a day. If you're a smoker, you're losing more. You're losing a lot of things more, but you're definitely losing a lot more time. But yeah, so use that focus app, do deep work sessions, put the distractions on your calendar. You can open your phone from the flight mode in those. If you're an employee, if you have a boss, tell your boss, these are the times I'm going to check WhatsApp. So if you message me something, I'm going to definitely reply to you within a 2 hour window. If you send me an email, I'm going to reply to you within a 2 hour window. And I'm sure that your boss is going to be fine with a 2 hour response window. So that's one of the biggest ways that you could, just by managing your calendar a little bit, and managing your browser a little bit, you will be able to have that distraction-free session. And you have three
Right.
of those, and you're already on the top 10% of the world.
Hey, thanks, Asim, for the web store link for that. Okay, so the next thing that I want to discuss, okay, I understood from the manager's perspective, I understood from the person who's working's perspective. Now let's
Yeah.
delve into a little bit about like marketing and sales, because that what most of our like events are about. So
Right.
here what I'm seeing, like this decision makers, right, like who are there, and because of the remote working situations, that how do you like get people to make instant decisions, because they are like everywhere, they're sitting at home and they're not in the office. So if suppose we are marketing people and sales people are reaching out to people, and they are convinced with whatever these people are selling or marketing about, but they're not able to like make quick decisions because the decision makers are not in the vicinity as of now. So how do you like tackle a situation like that?
Okay. So yeah, so I think we'll have to break it down into, everyone has a different target audience, and that's what matters in sales and marketing. If your target audience is directly key decision makers, then you'll have to
Hmm.
adjust your marketing strategy to use channels where you can get access directly to the decision makers rather than going through the gatekeepers. That's a small hack. In fact, that works even if you're not in a remote work situation, even if everyone is sitting in office, you want to
Right.
skip the gatekeepers, because the traditional sales process tells you this. The traditional sales process teaches you how to deal with the gatekeepers, right?
Right.
So it teaches, these are the things that you can do to bypass the gatekeepers. This is how you should talk to the gatekeepers. But that was a time when everything was happening on a call, right? So
Right.
since everything was happening on a call, you had no option but to go through the gatekeepers. Now you have so many channels where you can. Now there is no gatekeeper on a LinkedIn profile, right? So if you are talking to me on my LinkedIn, it is me and you. There is no gatekeeper sitting between us.
Right.
So
Right.
one of the simple ways to modify your sales and marketing strategy is to find channels where you can get your decision makers without having to go through the gatekeepers at all, so that irrespective of where they are working from, you still have direct access to them, right?
Right.
So that works really well these days, which I've been using, is I've been reaching out to founders of companies who are in fintech focused on gold and silver investments, because a lot of people are moving to gold and silver in this recession time. And I've been getting into their drip campaigns, getting their responses, signing up on their drip campaigns, and getting in touch with them directly via email. So this gives me direct access to those people rather than having to go through gatekeepers. So that's one way. If you don't have the gatekeepers in the picture, then you don't have to worry about having the decision makers in a room, because you're now directly onto the decision maker. If your
Right.
target audience, however, is not the decision maker, right? It's not the key decision maker, but you want, let's say, a board approval, and that could be a problem, because what now we are looking at is there can be no board meetings. Now this, we are talking about a very high level sales deal where
Right.
you need to, right? So there can be no board meetings, everything has to be done on an online conference, and no one wants to get the entire board members on one call just for a sales presentation.
Exactly. Right.
So at that level is where you're going to have some problems in this stage. Only on the, it's not about remote work, but it's about this stage when we have self quarantine. Also because everyone's decision making policies is now revolving around trying to save their business, because a lot of small businesses are going to get affected by this situation,
Right.
right? So they are more focused on that. So in this case, what you should be doing is you should be trying to catch one of the fish and then putting your message across to one of the fish through either of those channels where you can catch them directly, and just put in a word, keep them warm, and wait for the time when this is going to resolve and you can actually pitch the entire presentation to the board. That's the thing that you're doing. But for most medium-sized deals, for most small-sized deals, for most startup-sized deals, direct access to the decision maker will still work. In fact, the interesting thing is decision makers will now have more time to talk to you.
Yeah.
So that's, in fact, you're at an advantage. They have more time to think about it. They have more time to talk about it. Because this is where 70% of the time goes of key decision makers. It goes into meetings, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And now they're not going to have as many meetings on their calendar. Even if they have meetings, they don't have to go from point A to point B, fly from country A to country B. So they have a lot of free time on their calendars. In fact, I've opened 10 new slots on my calendar for clients, right?
Right.
So this is in fact an opportunity for you to have more, online FaceTime with your potential customers, rather than thinking about, okay, how am I going to close a deal when I cannot meet this person? So think about, now that person has more time on the calendar if you want to meet him online.
Right. Okay, so we have a question here from Deepak. Deepak, could you take over and you can ask the question, please? Yeah, Deepak, please go ahead.
Hi, I'm also working from home. I'm basically from digital marketing. So I just want to understand if you are also from the same domain, because there is so much of similarity in the things which you talk about, the calendar and the, spending more time with our boss. So I just want to understand from which domain you're working with.
Yes, Deepak. So I run a growth marketing company. I also run a digital marketing academy. It's called Mapplinks. My academy is academy.mapplinks.com, where I have my digital marketing training courses and growth hacking courses. We also do services and consultation for clients. So probably there is some sort of overlap, and that is why you're finding a lot of things which match what you do as well.
I should say 70 to 80% of the things what you're talking is matching. So I believe that I'm in the in the phase what you're talking about while working from home.
Right. So you will go through this phase very quickly if you're into digital marketing, because you're pretty good with the digital tools online. And I see a lot of people who are coming from a traditional sales background, or who are coming from a more field marketing background, or from any other domain outside of digital marketing and tech. They find it the most difficult. But I think it'll be rather easier for you, the transition, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, perfect.
Great.
So Deepak, are you like, do you have any other questions as of now?
I'm liking the content which you're talking, so I would rather
Amazing.
mute and enjoy your content what you're talking about.
Okay, sure. We'll anyways have a Q&A session once like we are done with the questions. Probably you can take up more questions at that time. Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. So yeah, Rishabh, we were talking about the decision making thing, right? So I was watching this podcast a few days back, and in that, like everybody is saying, and I'm facing the same situation as well. Like there are three kinds of people or thought processes of now that is happening. When you reach out to someone, there is either like, we are in the lockdown and don't disturb us, or you can come out as being insensitive because you are talking to people in a position of crisis. Then there are second a set of people who are saying that we are reevaluating the operations and the processes that we do and trying to figure out how we can do it better. And then the third class of people who are like, whatever the situation may be, we cannot stop the work from being happening, so we have to push like we do in a general situation, and we need to get our work done. So which class of people would you associate with more? And do you have any suggestions of how, like, when we face the other two classes, how do we reach out to them, or how do we talk to them in this kind of situation?
Right. So I'll actually first step outside of my sales and marketing brain and try to step in from a client's perspective. I'm just
Right.
trying to play devil's advocate here. I'm just trying to understand their mindsets. I'm just trying to see what they are thinking about. See, first of all, I think as a client, I would say sales and marketing people need to relax for a while. And the reason being that this is much bigger than the government is telling us and the media is
Exactly.
telling us. We know that it's much bigger than that. And the people that are going to get impacted the most is going to be small businesses, small to medium sized businesses. And I think most of our audience, the kind of people we have in this call, I think are targeting those businesses. Um, when we are, when I am, and family businesses as well, all the family businesses are going to shut down in this problem. So when we have this crisis as a client, we don't want to hear from sales and marketing. All right, we don't want to hear from sales and marketing. When someone puts it in a way that, we do have to do work and blah blah blah, they're just being nice to you. But what they want right now is for their business to be able to survive, for them to be able to meet expenses. There are multiple economic shutdowns which are happening. So people want to still keep what they've made, and and if at all they are from an industry where they are able to maintain, then
Right.
that's the place where you are hitting the sweet spot. So as sales and marketing, now let's step into a sales and marketeer's brain. So this was the client's perspective. I want sales and marketing guys to chill for a while. That's as a client. As sales and marketing, I want to think about which is the audience which might actually be benefiting from all this coronavirus crash, right? Who are those businesses? Who are those clients? And can I pitch my solution to those clients? So this is how I changed my strategy. I was working with a few customers before and after. I'll tell you before and after my outreach, how it's changed.
Right.
The people I'm targeting now is online fitness coaches. Okay, that's one
Hmm.
audience, which is doing great. People still want to be fit, but they cannot go to a gym. On fitness apps, which let you work out from home, right? Great opportunity. Gold and silver investing fintech companies, anyone who's dealing with precious metals. Now, obviously, any generic tool or startup can be sold to any industry. So can
Hmm.
map your if you can map your service to any of these
Hmm.
industries, you're going to do really well in the corona hit times. And these people are looking for sales and marketing messages. They're looking for ways to grow. And at this time, they're like, all right, let's put budget in ad funnels. Let's do anything but anything but SEO they want to do right now. Anything but even content. They're looking for content. They're looking for why is it going to be working out online? Why you should take my online yoga course? Why you should download this app? E-training, e-learning, edutech businesses, great opportunity, right? Edutech is a great opportunity right now. Schools have been shut down. People still want to homeschool their kids or get them some online education. Great opportunity. Those are the clients who want to grow their websites, who want to bring more traffic, who want to get more sales, who want to and land more deals. In fact, they want to tie up with institutions who can refer to them.
Which we had taken, and there is a epidemic disease act 1897 which we have invoked, and by virtue of that act and the provisions of that act, a lot of power has been given to the government.
Those opportunities where this is actually going to create a benefit for those industries, then you are still at a good standing. Then you don't have to face the situations that you are facing now. Of course, if you are very very focused on your target audience and you know that this is not going to work out with them, then you have to
Hmm.
find alternative channels. I'll give you an example. There is a fashion brand in the US who does exhibitions, and they do physical exhibitions in New York and San Francisco and everything. And obviously, all the exhibitions are shut down. So what should they be doing? They are not retailers. They cannot sell on Amazon. They cannot
Exactly.
just sell from a store. So we are now helping them to set up a wholesale store online, right? So a store online, but for wholesale, not for
Okay.
retail, right? So simple solutions, but you have to find a solution for these businesses, either which will get them out of the problem that they're having because of the economic slowdown or the lockdown, or target businesses in industries who are going to benefit from this situation that we have right now. Those are the two ways that marketers and salespeople should approach the problem, rather than going too aggressive on customers they know are themselves facing a business crisis. Because in a
Understood.
business, sales, marketing, and growth is secondary. It's about saving the business first, right? So, and this is what we should do as sales and marketers. We should understand the customer's requirements. If the customer's requirements are to save the business, then we should modify our offering to save their business,
Right.
or we should modify our offering to match the industry where they would like to have sales and marketing growth. So that's also a part of the job of the sales and marketing, and not just saying that this is what my company sells, this is my target audience, this is what we've learned. So sales and marketing, we've only learned this. This is the customer persona. This is what you have to sell.
Yeah.
Go push, pull, and sell. But now we have to think, because this is not a situation that happens every day, right? This is a once in 100-year situation. So now we have to think, all right, this is the persona. This is what I want to sell. But this is the crisis that they are facing now. So am I really going to be adding value if I sell this directly, or should I modify my offer so that I can add some value to them?
Understood.
That's how to approach that problem.
So yeah, I totally get your point of view when you're saying, like, modifying offers or whatever you are providing, like modify it to the expectations that people are having right now. I also get a lot of and I'm reading about like a lot of people who are talking about empathy and being able to understand your customers' problems at this point of time. And if you already have existing customers, it's a good point to go back and reach out to them and talk to them about it, like how are they, if we can help with whatever resources that we have, in any kind of resources that they are looking forward to in terms of understanding what is happening and how they can save their business, how we can help with our services to them. So this point, I think personalization, like personally I feel that personalization and understanding the person's, like, cold would not work at this point of time at all. So the outbound thing, I understand you are like a inbound preacher, but there are a lot of people who are into the outbound still. They do cold emails, they do cold calls, it works for them.
I have a small
But
suggestion to them. You can also work on, this is a simple hack. You can also work on your pricing strategy rather than just working on your offer. I'll give you an example. Let's say I go, and one of the points you mentioned is very correct, that you can actually do an outreach to your past customers, let's say, who had a good experience working with you. So let's say you had a customer, you had them on a retainer for $500 a month. You can go back and tell them, I know that you really need this service in this situation, but you might not have the cash flow to give me $500 a month. Just pay me half the price and we can recover the rest once we are back to normal. Right? It's a simple pricing strategy, but at least you have business coming in. And at this situation, even your company would be happy with that $250 rather than having no. So this is a small pricing strategy. If you're reaching out to your old customers, don't just go back to them and say, can we just recontinue what we were doing before? Go back. I have a new pricing. If I was going to charge you for a project $2,000 one time, I'm now going to charge you $200 over the period of 10 months. You can pay me on a month basis, because I know that it's going to take some time for you to recover. So these are simple ways that you can modify things, because you have to understand that no one has cash flow now, right? So no one has.
Understood. Yeah.
If you're selling a $25,000 project to a client, even if it's a big company, they might just want to pay $5,000 in 4 phases rather than paying you, in 5 phases rather than paying you $25,000 in one go.
Right.
So simple pricing hacks could also work.
So there, we have a question here. Rishabh, okay, you're available, right? I just pause for a while. So we have a question here actually, where people are asking, like, what kind of apps can we use at this point of time which will help us in our productivity, focus, all that, like in current situation? So do you have any favorite apps? Like you talked about focus, are there any other apps or any other websites that would be helpful for us?
Yeah, so we'll split it into apps and websites separately. In terms of apps, what you can use on your phone, one is Rescue Time, which is an amazing. It works for the browser as well. Screen time or rescue time. So this is going to make sure that it tracks what apps and you're spending time on. So basically, what you're looking at the screen and how much time are you spending on those. You can also limit let's say for example, you can limit WhatsApp to 15 minutes a day.
Okay,
And then
yeah.
after, they say your time is up. Are you sure you want to continue? YouTube has this feature by default. You can set a reminder on YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube right now just to be updated with the coronavirus thing. So I've actually put a 15-minute timer now. So after 15 minutes, it says, enough of coronavirus. You are in self-quarantine. You are fine. Go ahead, do your work. Don't worry about the world. So that 15 minutes timer is going to be useful. Then you could have, also there is an app which, by the way, recently has an offer. It's called Down Dog. It's a yoga app. You can also do 7-minute workout sessions on it. So within 7 minutes, you're like fresh. This is useful for taking breaks and staying fit while you're working in self-quarantine. They've made all their apps for free until the coronavirus situation.
Yeah, I see this trend happening with a lot of apps actually currently.
It's a paid app, but you can download it now for free. It's called Down Dog, comes from the name of the yoga position, Down Dog. Then there is the other app that I use is Habits. So this app basically lets you track your daily habits. I don't know if you can see it on the video, but this is the app. So it lets you track your habits on a regular basis. So let's say you make your daily habits, and then you can just check mark by the date that, okay, I've executed the daily habit. A simple daily habit could be in the morning disinfecting your laptop and phone, because the virus can stay for 3 days on your phone.
Which brand are you using? I saw that on your WhatsApp statuses.
I have a 99.9% ethanol content, which is the WHO recommends 70%, and I have 99%. I'm pretty safe. Even if you're in self-quarantine, you want to disinfect, so you take it, you put it on a tissue, and you just want to clean your screen, because this is the problem, guys. This is where it can stay for 3 days, right? So you just want to disinfect this on a regular basis.
Right.
Of course, I'm not going out, so I don't need to do this every day, but I still do it as a part of the daily habit. So that app is important. Of course, not just for dealing with the coronavirus, but also for productivity. So you can have productivity habits that you can set for every day.
Okay, so we have another question coming in wherein Bhupesh is asking how to monitor your employees while you're working from home.
Yeah, so honestly, Bhupesh, my hack is not to monitor employees. Debbie is laughing because I'm a little bit different in the way I'm managing people. But
by the way, for all of you who don't know, I have worked with Rishabh for more than 2 years as his employee.
And so probably the best way is not to monitor them too much, because see, this is what's gonna happen. If you can put the right mindset in people, they will deliver you results. This is okay. I'll give you an example. If you decide that I'm going to use my willpower every day in the morning to try to clean this, right? So today morning, I wake up and I use my willpower to clean this. You might not be able to do the next day, but if you make this a habit, if you put it on the Habits app, it will be much easier for you to do it, because habits are like automation, which don't need willpower to be executed, right? So once you have it as a habit, you don't need the willpower to execute it. Similarly, if you can put a mindset on the people that work for you that, hey, Debbie, you are going to be responsible for this project, right? So whatever happens, I'm going to give you this project. Whatever happens to this project, you are going to be responsible. And tell her ways that she can take up the responsibility. So Debbie, these are the ways that you can take up the responsibility. I'm also giving you power, not just responsibility. You also have control on the processes. You can also hire more people from Upwork right now if we don't have it on the team. You have my credit card. You can buy an app if you think it's useful for your remote work. When you give this power and the responsibility on a 50-50% split, you will get results. But if you give 80% responsibility and only 20% power, then you're not going to get results. If you give 80% power and 20% responsibility, you're not going to get results. So you have to match the responsibility and the power that you are giving.
Okay, so we'll take up some few questions from your end as well. So I've unmuted all of you. You can just speak like one by one and take up questions with Rishabh. Okay, I already have a few questions here. How do you push your teammates in a good way while working remotely without coming across as too pushy?
Yeah, so fortunately, I've never had that problem. But, I think, yeah, again, my approach is a little bit different. I don't want to push people too much. I want to instill the right processes and the right mindset, and then they push themselves. That's always the better way, because when you push people, it's going to be short lived. It's only going to last for a few hours or for one day. But if you still want to do it, if you still want to, be the one pushing people, I think the best way is to set yourself as an example. And how you can do that is take that lead in whatever, take that first step, take that first step where you start doing those things online. So let's say, for example, if you tell the team, from now we're going to use Asana for project management, you start updating the app first. So when you start updating the tool and you tag them on the tool, then they will start updating the tool as well.
Right.
Rather than calling them every 5 minutes and, I cannot see you, but you haven't updated this. Why don't you update that? Why don't you update this? That's going to make them even more frustrated. So
Yeah.
don't do that.
Right. So Gaurang has a question. He's asking, what about the insurance industry currently? Is it a good time to work on that? Do you have any do you have any suggestions, Rishabh? Do you have any experience on that?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to sell insurance right now, do it in 1 week or 2 weeks. Because see, the problem is that this, if I think the question relates to the coronavirus situation, has nothing to do with working remotely. But the point is this, this is what's happening right now. You are probably selling to India as a geographic region. A lot of people in India actually never cared about insurance before this. They never really cared about health insurance and medical insurance. And honestly, they still don't care, because they don't see that. They see like, all right, there are 3 or 4 deaths, is not a big number. So just to make people understand that they should stay at home is so hard for someone like Modi. I have no clue how you're going to sell them that insurance is important for them, because it's just to make people understand that they should stay at home is so difficult right now.
Right.
And it's like, it's so basic and so easy to execute. It's like a foolproof plan to fight this virus. Imagine if everyone self quarantines right now, the virus cannot do much. But no, if Modi cannot explain people that they should stay at home, I think, Gaurang, you cannot sell insurance right now.
So he said that no, he's selling insurances in US. What are your thoughts about that? India, they're not concerned too much, but US, they are. So
yeah, India, they're not concerned. That's the problem. Yeah, US, they are concerned. There's a lot of grants. So Trump is sending $1,000 checks to all the people. So they pretty much already covered the problem with the US market. For you, it's a problem is that they were already pretty well insured, and they were already careful about how they could do this. But you could still try an outreach. I would always say, don't trust me for this. Trust the data. So do a small experiment. Get data from people. You could do an experiment in New York. It's under lockdown, so you could do a New York experiment and see if New Yorkers are interested in getting an insurance. I don't know if you're offering specifically caters to deaths by coronavirus or something like that, but if it does, it's going to be more targeted for sure. So see what kind of messaging works and what kind of data you can get from your experiment. Don't trust my advice on it.
right. So we also have this question wherein Naresh is asking, how do you find clients in this situation? And what have they, like, the way they use social media, has it changed right now? I know you have dealt on the points that people have, the decision makers have more time at this point of time because they are not like meeting a lot of people, they don't have a lot of meetings, so it's good to like connect with them one-on-one. But in general, how do you find clients? It's very open-ended, but anyways, how do you find clients, and has the social media usage changed in this situation?
Yeah, so since it's a generic question, let me answer of how I am doing it personally. So like I said, I have two businesses. One is the academy business where I have online courses, and the other is the consulting business where I work with clients directly. So what I've done is I've now converted the academy business to a lead generation machine. So the academy business sells online courses and video series. And now what I've done is I've said, all right, this is how I'm going to contribute. You can take my online courses for free, because that will encourage you to stay at home. And that's what I wanted. The only thing I'm asking my friends and family and people is, please stay at home. And everyone should be asking just for that. So in order to match the situation and my offer, I've told people, you can take my courses. I'm rolling out my courses one by one for free. And that generates a big pool where people would then say, we enjoyed your course, we enjoy your book, but we want to get consultation directly from you. That's how I'm converting business right now. And these are mostly customers who are in the online fitness industry, who are in the investment industry, where they are working with precious metals. So all the industries that I mentioned earlier, any industry which is going to get benefit from this situation, those are the kinds of people who are reaching out to me. So yes, that's how I am approaching this problem. The second half of the question is, anything has changed in people's social media usage? Of course, definitely. There is, see, we were already on the phones, we were already on the devices. The content consumption has shifted slightly to people who were never consuming news before are now consuming news via social media. Also, with newspapers being a potential way of transmitting the virus, people are switching to Twitter and YouTube more than newspapers, as they are more physical, and the newspaper guy is going to hand it over to you and the virus might be spreading. There's also differences in, of course, payments. People are trying to deal, I don't know how much it's true for India, but outside in other countries, people are trying to deal less with cash. They're trying to make more payments online. Again, it's a physical transmission method, which people are trying to avoid. People are spending a lot of time listening to their leaders. So their leaders are using social media to reach out to people. So yeah, of course, the usage has increased, but again, the problem is that people are now consuming more news related to the situation rather than, directly, generally just using their feeds. Because when they use their feeds, generally you have a lot of ad targeting options to reach out to them. But when they're potentially consuming more coronavirus information and all the social media algorithms are pushing up coronavirus related information, you are not really going to do the best by targeting specific marketing keywords. So your Facebook ad funnels might not work as well as they were working before. Your Google ad funnels, AdWords which is now Google Ads, might not work. Your YouTube ads might not work as well, unless you are, of course, targeting keywords like coronavirus, in which case, that's a hack, by the way, in which case you will be showing up, but then you better be relevant to what you're talking about.
Okay, so the another question that we have from Deepak is that he's into fitness and food supplements. So do you have any tips for him on how to sell or how to market at this point of time?
Absolutely. Sell me a kit to boost my immunity from coronavirus of supplements, and I will buy it for sure. That's something that people are lacking, immunity, and those are the worst hit people. The problem, of course, there is that you cannot sell any random supplement. So just make sure that you have the right elements inside it for people to boost their immunity. So the usual suspects would be a vitamin B complex, a vitamin C, a zinc supplement, some magnesium. If you put together that package, that this is the daily supplement kit to boost your immunity from the coronavirus, that would be a great campaign at this given point of time. I also think that it's when you target this to a mass population, you can have a broad targeting campaign for this rather than having a very narrow targeted campaign. Even people who don't care about fitness are trying to get on the immunity boosting right now. So immunity boosting could be a space that you could target, because here's the problem: a lot of people will still get the coronavirus, but only the people with low immunity will be harmed. So you want to target that population, which even if they don't know that they have low immunity, you can tell them, just boost your immunity and it's better for everyone. But don't go on the other end of the spectrum and promise that this is going to, this is the cow urine solution that is going to fight coronavirus or something like that. Don't go on that side of the spectrum. Stay scientific, make sure that your messaging is clear, that boost your immunity, and this is going to help you fight the virus. Don't go overboard on your offer. But that could be a great for the food supplements business. It could be all natural supplement that you're offering.
So another question we have is would it be a good time for brand awareness campaigns?
Yeah, I mean, see, the brand awareness has to lead to something. You can't just.
I think you have been muted, Rishabh. Could you unmute yourself, please?
Can you hear me now? I am unmuted.
Okay, yeah, please go ahead.
Right. So yeah, I'm sorry. Can you just repeat that question again? This was about brand awareness campaigns. Is it a good time to do brand awareness campaigns, or okay, can this be a good time to do brand awareness campaigns? Yeah. So see, essentially, brand awareness has to lead to something. Brand awareness cannot just be like, I'm doing a brand awareness campaign and that's all. If you have an awareness campaign, you are trying to build, let's say, a pixel which you can then collect data from and retarget them for conversions or something like that. Or you're trying to build a specific image for your brand. And I think this is, if it's related to your insurance business, by the way, then you don't really need to build a lot of awareness first about your brand to sell that insurance. If you have the right messaging, you can do it directly. But of course, there is no wrong time to build brand awareness, as long as you can lead it to something else. You can take it from the awareness phase, you can actually transition people to the conversion phase, then go ahead.
Okay, what's the best Kanban project management tool focused on team productivity?
You can actually sync Trello with a couple of other productivity apps. The reason why I say Trello is because it's simpler than many other tools out there. If you want to, I mean, see, basically you're looking at a project management tool, but if you want to put the focus on team productivity, you'll have to make the right use of that tool. The tool, of course, is not going to do that for you. So you get Trello and then you can, for example, if you use Slack for team communications, you can integrate Trello and Slack pretty well. You can also integrate Trello and Gmail, where you could have a daily email about every activity that happened on Trello. So you can have that summary being sent to all your team members, and that should boost team productivity because by virtue of people seeing what other people have done today. So that could be, you have to create your own workflow to boost team productivity, but the tool can only give you a platform to manage it. So yeah, I think my recommendation would be Trello integrated with either Slack or Gmail or whatever you use for communication.
Amazing. Okay, I think we are done with the questions. Thank you so much, Rishabh, for joining, taking out your time from your self-quarantine. But I think it would have been fun, not just sitting alone and talking to more people.
So I'm just leaving the email ID here. Someone asked how to contact you. If someone wants to get it, it's on the chat. Of course, since we are talking about productivity, don't send random emails. If you have a specific question, then go ahead. In fact, you want to reduce your email a little bit in this phase. So don't send too many emails to people and don't send too many messages. So have a protocol. You can have, if something is of medium priority, I'm going to probably send an email. If there's something of high priority, I'm going to send a WhatsApp message or whatever that person is more into. If it's very, very high priority, then I'm going to give them a WhatsApp call or a regular call. I would never call anyone. That's the thing. That's my rule. I don't call anyone. I think it's too intrusive to call someone when they are trying to do deep work and productivity and all those kinds of things. Even as a boss, I don't call my people. I now just send them a voice note on WhatsApp. They can hear the voice note, and I'm surprised how less people use voice notes, but it's an amazing way. It's a more personal level of communication than just a message, and your tone actually tells you, because a lot of employee and boss arguments are going to happen when they work online. Because the people don't understand the tone that the other person is using. So it's highly recommended that you switch to voice notes for this period of time.
Right. Also, as a part of our Ampliz initiatives to help everybody who is working from home, we are giving out 50 credits free for you to reach out, as Rishabh said, not to just the people who you want to reach out to, but not the gatekeepers, actually the decision makers. So please do try out, see if it is helpful for your business. Let us know if anything that we can do from our end. And we are also creating a small kit that Rishabh would like for sure, because it's like a startup plus working from home remotely kit, which has all the tools, all the necessary resources that you might like to see. So we'll be sending that out to all of you. Let us know how you liked it. And thank you so much, Rishabh, again for joining with us and helping us, in this situation and giving us your tips.